5 cards that need nerfed. Now, warning and a little disclaimer. I'm not mentioning Hindu Pantheon cards because we don't yes, there's obviously some very strong cards like Kali, but in some instances, really strong cards are justified in potentially weak pantheons. I think Hindu's very strong personally, but I haven't had enough time to really get into it yet. So I'm gonna hold off right now on the Hindu pantheon. So yes, all your complaints about Kali and all the pillars will have to wait till another video. So let's just get down to these are the cards that are just unjustly powerful. They need it. The high res needs to strike them with the nerf hammer, but unfortunately they're really good at not doing that. So let's get down to it. First card is gonna actually be our fiery friend Soul. Soul needs nerf because she's been all over the place. She really has. But in her current state, she's just too strong. Primarily because as a 3-drop tempo with 2 damage cleave, at that point, most of your 3-drops have around 2 or 3 health, so she effectively neutralizes the board. Your opponent cannot play any unit because they instantly get bombarded. They instantly get cucked. And you can't do anything about it. So no matter what happens, you're always in a situation where you're always playing against her and you can't actually get any units on board. So I've literally lost games because my opponent got double soul. So soul, and I guess what's a likely nerf? Increasing her to 4 mana is probably more reasonable. Decreasing her attack to a 1/3. I think she was already there and she wasn't seeing any play. Maybe decreasing her to like a 2/1 or like a 2/2 or something that makes her more killable. Because in the current state, you have to expend 3 damage resources to try to kill a soul. And remember, this is going to nuke your summoning stone every time you play a unit. So you're pretty much boned no matter what happens. So for the most part, yes, soul is going to need some nerfs immediately. But she's only the 5th card. We're coming down to our 4th card. We're going to travel over to the Egyptian Pantheon. And we're going to see our friend, not Sobek just yet, we're going to see our friend Thoth. Thoth, upon release, was one of the most bullcrap cards you've ever seen in our entire life. Thankfully, they fixed him and changed him a bit, but does not fix his innate issues. Being a 5-mana 3/5 is already range. It's already a fantastic stat line. It really is. The stat line, having the ability to deal a lot of damage to the board while sustaining your board is already a very potent strategy. But making him a 3/5 means he's extremely tanky. Because we look at Giannis and he rarely gets killed by spell damage. Usually, Giannis is in Medusa usually get killed by elimination spells. So, but the issue is when you already have a card like Goobus and a Neef, it makes it very it makes it very difficult for your opponent to use resources waiting for a Thoth, because that's how strong Thoth is. Because if you leave a Thoth up on board and you have combo cards like Khepri, it makes the situation completely intolerable, and you can't win just because you get bombarded, and you'll play a Geb per se, and you'll instantly get nuked. Now, one quick note. I did include Khepri on this list because we're looking at individual value itself, right? Which you'll see gets kind of diluted with Sobek, but for the most part, where Khepri finds his values in the other cards. So effectively, if these guys get nerfed, if Thoth gets nerfed and Sobek gets nerfed, then we're not going to worry about Khepri. Now, obviously, one alternative could be just nerfing Khepri, but I don't think that's a wise decision, because if Token ever comes back in the meta, Egyptian will hands down lose to it, and you don't want to end all for Egyptian. So believe it or not, I think Kepri's actually a bit better off. So they really shouldn't be touching him too much. But so getting back to the 4th position, Thoth, it needs some nerfs because he has too much board control for a 5-mana 3/5, and healing's too prevalent right now. It's too strong. Gonna go back a couple rows and going to our number 3 slots at Sobek. Yes, you guys heard it here. And you've probably seen it in game. Sobek needs some nerfs, because my general consensus with the 2-drop is 2-drop should not be applicable at all points in the game. Sobek, 2-drops should be a early game push, But but they do have that disadvantage. When you get them late game, they're pretty much non-usable. So you're trading an early game option for a late game potential. The issue with Sobek is he doesn't have that. Sobek can grow to a 6-5 in a minute flash with Khepri. And like I said, I think we need Khepri to stay in the game because he does fit that niche of taking down zombies, of taking down certain things that Egyptian can't deal with. However, on the same note, it's not at all balanced that Sobek is the way he is. He's just too tanky, he's too strong, and he heals up and he becomes a threat at any point in the game. Your opponent can play a 2-drop Sobek on turn 6 and like a 4-drop unit, and you're still worried about that Sobek because you know your opponent's just gonna wait, damage him a bit, then heal him up, and then before you know it, you've got a like you've literally got a huge beast. You've got like a 6-7 Sobek that you really can't deal with. So yeah, Sobek is number 3 on the list because he needs some heavy, heavy nerfs. Wait, is he number 2 on the list? Yeah, he's number 3 on the list. He's number 3. Alrighty then. Next up is... Wait, who's up next? I'll edit this part. I'll edit this part out. Okay. Who's up next? It's been 6 minutes. Shut up, you bitch. Okay, I'll have to edit this crap out. Who was next? Who was next seeing nerfs? I forgot. We do discounted Hindu. It was Soul. Oh, Hydras. Okay. You've seen him at... This is number 2. Number 2. You've seen him in the meta, and you hate him just as much. The Hydras. Now, this is a hot contested spot for number 1 and 2. I'm putting Poises at number 2. Why? Because he doesn't counter an entire Pantheon. We'll get onto that later with the Loreena Hydra. But for Poises Hydra, he's broken because he gets your opponent completely off tempo. Unless you want to take 4 damage, which is his damage equivalent, it becomes unbearable. It becomes you have to play into your opponent, and this is terrible. This card is completely broken. Just being a 4/4/4 is already not half bad, right? When we take a look at other 4-drops, we see Gladiator. He's Oogway. He's a very strong abilities, but their stat line this is a solid stat line. So if there, for example, it would be like a 1-cost mana spell, it maybe be balanced. But the fact that the Poisonous card costs 2 mana to activate, and if you're not able to activate, it does 4 damage. It's disgusting. It's not fun to play against nor with. It's a terrible, terrible thing that I don't know how high-res let through balance. When we're up at the 1 and 2 mark, you're really wondering if they actually played these cards in balancing. You gotta ask, how the hell did this crap get through? I don't know. Like, who thought this would be a good idea to let a card this broken enter the game? And again, I feel passionate about it because I don't understand, bro. I don't get it. So like I was saying, yeah, we're seeing these 2 cards every single deck because they're broken AF and they're not fun to play against nor with. They're terrible. I mean terribly overpowered. Because obviously they're not terrible. Just the poison, like I said, the Poison's card is just too strong in and of itself, and it sets your opponent completely off curve. It's number 2 on the list because if you get in the late game, it's not as potent as this son of a bitch right here. Introducing the most broken AF card we have seen in a very, very, very long time. Loreena. So we'll take a moment of silence for Loreena. Okay. That was joking towards Greek, by the way. So I mentioned in the like a couple 30 seconds ago, it seems, that this bad boy doesn't counter an entire Pantheon, which is true. Most Pantheons can deal 4 damage, or they can actually kill the unit. This is the issue. This unit is physically unkillable if you are playing Greek. Pretty much. It gets to a point where you can't play against it. Being at 6 mana, I've had friends who will literally lose games because their opponent got the Loreena first. What makes Loreena broken is that he's a bloated unit, and actually it's funny because we actually talked about the Blade Master nerf that's incoming, where they took away his charge and they also nerfed his health. I've been calling for this card to be nerfed ever since he was released. Loreenian's the exact same. He's bloated. He does way too much on his stat line. A 6.55 isn't even innately that bad, but the fact that his ability, he's going to take 1 damage from any source, including spells, and he gains 3-0 when attacking, makes this card ridiculously broken. It creates a situation where Greek can't kill it, Chinese really can't kill it, and obviously you're saying Comcast, there's cards like Guan Yu, there's cards like Recall, there's cards like, yeah, I know that. But I'm saying in a realistic board situation, when you're not holding on to like 2 cards the entire game to try to deal with this singular card, that's what we call broken. Especially how Greek has no hard removal. And Chinese has no hard removal, so you cannot kill this card. Especially, it's just busted. Because you may obviously say, well, Comcast, you're going to silence it. Yeah, but especially when you're playing Greek, you have 2 silences in your entire deck. And you're expected to hold one off for a card that will rip you to shreds and solve a good stat line. It's not fantastic, it's a good stat line. Hopefully you're seeing where the issues are. So yes, Loreenian is the most broken card in the game. No matter what anybody says, the fact that it can take on an entire pantheon by itself, 5 heads against all, like, what, 13 Greek gods, that's not balanced. And yes, obviously there's situations where Loreena doesn't get as much impact, but it's the fact that it's a card standalone that can do that much potency. It's just not balanced. And it's one of the cards where I seriously begin to questioning whether Hi-Rez's balancing team has eyes. Maybe they meant to be a 3-3. Like, oh my gosh, guys, it's meant to be a 3-3. No, this is ridiculous. Being a 5-5 for 6 that gains has that ridiculously powerful abilities makes a situation where you don't want to watch. Anyways, I've listed off my top five. Just for a recap, we have Soul at the bottom, then we have Thoth, then we have Sobek, and then we have the Doubleon Hydras. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on these cards, because they're sure as hell getting nerfed. The question is, when will Hi-Rez actually put in the work and play test and realize these cards are broken, considering that the majority of the community is all bitching about it. So, like I said, leave your comments. Remember, catch me on stream at twitch.tv/AComcastEmployee, and I will see you guys later.